Hello everyone, so today we will be starting new build series, because we finished our leg tractor, so that's why we will be building this. I guess you saw the title of this video, so it's not a surprise, but I was interested in how this model gets together, how it is easy to build this T-55 from Miniart. We reviewed several of these kits, several versions. We reviewed this one as well. You can find easy review on our YouTube channel. But now we are going actually to build it and to see what are the possible problems you can encounter while assembling this thing. And of course, if it is beginner friendly or it is only for professionals. Even though here it is written that this is not a toy, still, I mean, we get this writing on every model. I'm still not decided on the marking option, because here we have 6 marking options. I was thinking about something in the desert colors, in sand colors, maybe something the same as on the box art. I guess that's the option, but we will see. And of course I'm going to open it. Just for starters, here is what we have inside. It is literally filled with parts, and as you remember, this is not an interior kit, so at least like this I will be able to focus on the external detailing, on the external parts, and still it doesn't mean that it will be really quick and fast build. It is definitely not a weekend build, and as you can see, there are a lot of plastic parts, there are separate track links, there are separate clear ports, etc, etc, so a lot of stuff to do. And of course we are going to start it right now. I'm going to remove it out of this box. I'm going to remove this stuff as well. And what I want to show is the assembly manual, of course, so that we know what will be the first step for this build. So let's open it. Here on the first pages we have marking options. I will check it in detail so that I know what I want to copy. And here you can see what will be actually the beginning of this build. So we will be assembling the lower hull part. There will be also some drilling necessary, as far as you can understand, if I am right. Let's check the sign. Where is this sign? Yeah, here. So open hole. So I guess it will be drilling or maybe cutting, we will see. And of course we will discuss it together in, let's say, in the next episode, when I will be separating this part of the sprue. So the first thing here you have to do is to cut through these holes, escape hatch, and also these frontal holes, and this is quite a task right from the first step, because as you can see here you have to cut off the plastic and then you have to drill out these holes. I was using the drill bit because otherwise it will be really tricky to do it, and now will be the most interesting thing is whether this separately molded hatch will fit into this hole. And as you can see, some other hatches are also molded separately, so we will have to install them here as well. So let's do it. Next step which I will be doing is attaching these parts HD6. As you can see, they should be applied from each corner. There should be as well, as far as I can guess. So HD6, where are you? Okay, anyway, I mean, at least here they're applied. And for this you will have to find this small frame. I will bring it closer so that you can see. And here's the part, this one, HD6. And I can show one which is already installed on the vehicle, so it will look like this. Actually, not on the vehicle, but on the part. But here you can see. So what actually houses the part in the place is this small recess point. So it is more or less easy to attach it, but be careful still in order to get the right fitment, let's say. So let's go with these parts. So we continue the, actually we finished the first step, this one, just only this one. And here's what we have as a result. So let's zoom in a bit so that you can see what I'm talking about. Camera will focus now. So what we were doing, we cut off the hole in order to install this hatch. I would say it's not that necessary. I mean, you can solve it just by gluing the hatch over it. I think there won't be such a huge difference. Next, you install all these separate wheel hubs and also separate hatches. Here I installed one here. It goes on the second step here. You can see it. this part, but I decided to install it because I was quite, let's say, not that in favor of the hole in the middle of the hull. Next you install also wheel hubs here, and that's pretty much all. By the way, you can see that it is slightly bent, but I hope it will be corrected when I will be assembling whole tank or whole lower hull half. And also here on the first step we assemble the road wheels, so I decided to assemble one just to show it. So the first thing is that we have guiding elements inside, so it will be easy to combine them together. And there are actually two types of the wheels, so be sure to separate them somehow because they are different. There are two, let's say, tensioner wheels and two road wheels, so you will have to distinguish between them. And one more thing, just give me a second, I'll try to find the screw with road wheels, and maybe it will be quick, maybe it won't be quick. Yeah, here is the perfect example. So, as you remember in the video reviews of the kits, I usually show this minor flash in the cutouts. So what I actually recommend is to use sharp knife. But it is better to use sharp knife when this part on the frame, so it will be easier to cut off because part won't be jumping around. And that way you will be able to do the precise exact cuts, and it will be easier, faster, and of course you won't damage the part itself. So just a small tip, maybe, I mean, for some of you it might be obvious, some others might wonder, so that's why I'm just mentioning it so that you know. Okay, so that's all. And now we proceed to the second step, which will be even more interesting because we will be installing torsion bars. Also we will be filling in these holes. As you remember, we were drilling them in the front. Here they are, and they will have to be closed with these parts from the WH sprue. So it will be interesting to see how it will go. Okay, let's go. So we continue building the T-55, and now we are on the step 4. I would actually call it step 2, but here you can see the final result with one torsion bar left to insert here, and then it will be done. So how it looks from inside is like this. Why I left the torsion bar separately, it is in order to show you what it looks like. So actually for one torsion bar you have to combine several parts, and as you can see it leaves the this lever actually movable, so it will be movable suspension. I decided to use it because, I mean, this way it will be a full-featured kit. But here's the trick, because you can use actually this small part instead of the torsion bar. It will make it easier to install, but this one should be glued into the place. And the tricky thing is it stays really freely movable in the hole, so you won't be able to get the right angle for all the legs. So that's also one of the reasons I decided to get the torsion bar. And I mean, there is no template which will help you with proper alignment of all torsion bars together, which is quite surprising. I was expecting some template, some special tool which will help you align this, so I hope we will see it in the new kits. And also you should be careful because it's not as easy as it might seem to be to put the torsion bars through the hole. As you can see, one got broken off due to the excessive pressure, so what I was doing, I was actually widening the holes because otherwise it will be almost impossible to put it inside because torsion bar is really thin, so if you apply some extra pressure it just breaks off, and that's pretty much all you can do here. So as I said, the final step is to apply here the torsion bar, and then as you can see we will be closing all the bars with special caps which will be installed here from outside, and then we'll move on to the next step. So let's do it. So as you remember, the next step was to assemble these sidewalls, and here you can see this part. I will show it in a second. Here it is. So it's not that difficult to assemble this thing, but you have to be careful with these minor elements which protrude from these side panels. And also here we have some of the cockpit elements. I will zoom in so that you can see it easier. So this thing is really easy to break. As you can see, I broke it several times, and it's really good that it won't be visible on the finished build. And this is interior-less kit, because otherwise it would be really bad situation, let's say. And here outside you can see that there are also some thin parts, so you have to be careful while working with them. So this is one side panel. and then we have another one, and I mean the second one is easier because as you can see there are fewer or less external ports, and the same goes here. Again, inside we have some thin parts which you have to be really careful with them. As you can see, we have some interior inserts, but they won't be visible because we have interior-less version, so I mean it will be closed and you'll forget about it. For these panels you'll have to drill holes. I used, I think, 0.6 drill bit, so be sure to do not forget about drilling them. And the next step, as you can see, will involve the, I will zoom out. So it will involve the lower panel. We will install the side panels, 2 of them on both sides. Here you can see them. Then the rear panel, here it is. So again, you have to drill the holes here to holes, and then there is a middle wall. Here you can see it. So here is this part. It will be installed in the middle, I guess, for the extra rigidness. So I mean it won't be visible again, so it's just a matter of providing some extra strength to the overall assembly. And I tried to fit these side panels without glue, dry fitting, and it fits really nicely. There are some minor gaps, but I think it will be solved with liquid glue from Tamiya. So on the next step I will show you already all these parts connected together and how it looks together. And as you can see, the next step will involve, you know, closing the whole hull with external glacis plates and other stuff which will be installed separately. So let's do this and show what we get in this step 10. So step 10 is over. Here you can see the final results. We have the side panels on the place, and overall fitment is more or less okay in my opinion. As you can see, there are minor gaps, but they won't be visible on the finished model, and I will also fix them with liquid Tamiya glue. And of course we do not have interior here, that's why it is empty inside. Next, what we will be doing is installing all these top panels, and that involves, I already applied all the minor elements and also drilled all the necessary holes. So here we have all the necessary panels which will be going here and there. Now with engine bay, as you can see, slats, you have to be building them out of separate parts. You can actually see this process here. It is a bit tedious process, and also be careful with slats because they will be easy to break off and then you have to fix them somehow. And just to show you that fitment out of the box is really nice. I mean, for example, I take this panel randomly, I install it here and it just goes where it should be. It fits nicely because it has all the guiding elements, and it will be more or less easy to install on the model. Here we have another panel and one more here. So all this stuff should go here on the top, and then we will have the whole hull closed, and then from the sides there will be separate panels which will be installed here. I will flip it over, here you can see it, and that will be solved with separate parts which should be assembled. On the next page you will see the instructions, but we are going to apply all these panels and then we will see how it fits all together on top of this tank. So let's do this. So as you remember, next step was to assemble all this stuff together. We start to work with PE parts, we also installed some PE meshes here and also a lot of small PE parts, and final result looks like this. Here you can see this tank. So what was a bit tedious, but I mean it is possible to do it, but it is really, I would say, time consuming procedure because you have to install each slat separately. Here you can see it in the final state. Also a lot of tiny pieces here on this page. This stuff will make you crazy unless you use some special tools, because otherwise these are really small parts. Here you can see them closer, and that will be a bit tedious work to get them into the right spot. And what I'm a bit worried is the fitment of this ring. As you can see now it can't be fixed. We have here a slight gap, so what I'm hoping is the turret will actually cover it and it will be not that visible. By the way, here you can see the glacis plate. It is also not quite nice looking part. So the next step involves assembly of the storage boxes, but I've done it already and I think there is nothing to show in this area. and so we can flip over the page, and here is what we do next. So here we install the side shelves. As you can see, these are large parts and you have to drill holes for different marking options. I will have to check which one I want. Also fuel tanks should be assembled, also some storage boxes here, Pioneer tools, all this stuff will be on the shelves obviously. Then we continue with the opposite shelf. Then again we install some PE parts, again a lot of fun to do, because these ones will have to be bent and they are inside as far as you can see, so they will be very visible. And I'm also considering whether I should install one front guard or I should leave it aside, and I mean to expose one side of the track. We will see. And also here we continue with various storage boxes once again. And next we install again various parts which are specific for 1 and 5 marking option. Then here we have fuel lines as far as I can understand, and there will be a lot of fuel lines, a lot of thin parts. So with thin parts we already worked with them here in the rear section, so this is a hinge for the motor deck, and I mean, and as long as you are careful with this, it should be relatively easy. If you are not careful, for example, I broke off this line and I had to fix it. You could see it on the frontal section here. So just be sure to use the plastic saw, because with plastic knife or plastic cutter it will be really tedious procedure. So it's easier just to saw it off than to use sharp knife to clean it and to install it straight on the model. So, and also some parts, for example this one, they do not have any bend lines, even though it is depicted here that they should be bent. So you should be careful while doing all this stuff. Maybe do some dry fitment in order to understand how it goes here and how it should look like. So, as I said, the next step is the side shelves, also some mud guards and few tanks, and we will see how it will look like on the tank. But now it gets into more tank look shape. And here, by the way, I forgot to show you, there is a one fuel tank assembled, so it's a matter of gluing together 3 parts. And as far as I remember, there will be one PE handle, as you can see here. I haven't installed it yet because I haven't assembled all the fuel tanks, as you can see here. And for the storage boxes, here is one, so again it's a matter of assembly of separate panels. It looks really nice, and as long as you carefully paint and weather this stuff, it should enhance the appearance of the model. So that's all for this step. Let's continue, and I will be back when we will finish all these steps. And just to pick what we have next, this is a storage boxes installation. Also we have some spare tracks, fuel lines, again storage boxes, and then road wheels, surprisingly. Anyway, we will check it later when this stuff will be finished. Let's go. So we continue our build session, and as you can see I have the fuel barrels ready to be installed on the tank. So here you have to use the P parts, otherwise it would be a strange looking fuel barrel. And also you have to install minor clamps which are molded out of plastic from both sides, so here they will be as well. And note, by the way, that here we have slight difference in the length. I'm not sure why it is like this, because I used the right parts. As you can see, they're installed in the right position. Maybe camera will focus now. Yeah, now you should be able to see. So I installed them in the right position, and still we have this issue, but I think it will be hidden once we install the clamps from the opposite side. And the same can be found here on this barrel. As you can see, it's slightly dirty assembled, but it is fine, I guess, for the battle weathered tank. Next we have thing with hull, main hull. So as you can see, I assembled the side shells, I assembled the fuel tanks. You can see these fuel lines closer, also a lot of P parts to apply on the nose section or frontal section, even from inside. Here you can see, for example, the front mudguard. There is also some PE installed inside. I installed one of the road wheels. As you can see, it remained movable. I just wanted to show you because all other wheels will be fixed. For example, this one is already fixed. And what is the issue with these road wheels is that this one is assembled from the sprue WJ. So I'll place tank here and I will show you what I'm talking about. So, sprue WJ, it is the separate wheel. I am starting left one of the sprues just to show you what is done here. So we have two wheels of this type. They are easy to assemble because we have special guiding pins. Then you have also guiding pins here inside, so you have to place these two parts here. And of course you have the special bar which should be installed in order to fix the wheel. Oh, here it is. So I will show it in a second. Here is the small part, and this is the thing which is actually holding the whole wheel in place. That's not such a cool design for the movable part in my opinion, because it's really difficult to get it into the right position if you want the movable wheels. So I would rather suggest just to fix them in place and forget about it, because I mean, who needs the workable wheels on the scale model? And next also I want to show you, let's say, the simple road wheels. As you can see, I assembled one of them. So here again we have quite an interesting thing, because that's how this tab looks inside the wheel. So as you can see, there is almost no point of contact with the suspension arms, so basically it won't be possible to attach it by gluing only this stump. So you have to glue whole the wheel, and I mean, obviously this part won't be movable as a result, but we have quite nice rubber texture here as a good side of this element. And next I wanted also to talk about the turret. So with turret we have quite interesting... Oops, so I broke something off. It's oh, that's a good point. So here we have the periscope. As you can see, I broke it off. Maybe camera will focus here, now you should be able to see. So that's a periscope, it broke off from here, and we basically don't need it because it won't be visible on the final model. And that's actually the thing with this kit, because in the turret you have to assemble a lot of internal elements, and I recommend to think whether you need them or not, because they won't be visible on the finished model if you close all the hatches like I do on my model. Also, I'm not sure about the movable barrel. I would rather fix it in place, because it will be also connected with help of this P part with searchlight. So I would rather have this barrel fixed in place and not movable, so that everything will stay intact. And here you can see a huge amount of P parts. A bit tricky to install. Some of them do not have any guiding slots, let's say, so you have to be careful while doing all this stuff. So the next step involves installation of these two fuel barrels on the end of the tank, also all road wheels on the suspension, and I'm not sure about the Pioneer tools. Maybe I will replace them with another box, because I decided to copy the tank from Syrian battles. And why I'm a bit confused, I'm also not sure about the towing cables which are placed here, because this is will be battle weathered tank, so I'm thinking in order to reproduce a bit more weathered appearance, maybe it will be worth leaving off or leaving aside some of the elements. We will see. For example, I decided to put the lock which is placed on the rear plate, to put it off, because it won't be placed here, just to add some visual interest, because it will be an empty clamps on the rear side. So we will see how it will look like on the final step. And what else? I think that's pretty much all. I'm not sure also about the movable torsion bars. I think it's not worth replicating them on your model, because I mean this will be the stand model, so if you don't need this feature for your diorama project, I would rather recommend to fix everything in place and have the tank more or less durable and sturdy. So here you can see it from the bottom as well. So that's all for this step. I'm gonna do what I described, attach all the wheels, install maybe another storage box here, fuel barrels here, and then it will be basically ready to be primed. And the same goes for the turret, so just few minor touches and it will be ready to be covered with primer. So let's do this. everyone. So we continue this build review, and as you can see, it came to final. So here we have the final result. Frankly speaking, it was quite a long build, but here is the tank. And you can notice that I decided to add some weathering here and there. Let's try to focus. It does not focus on the model, so maybe we'll do it like this. Yes, now you should be able to see what we have here. And overall, I would say that even without interior, it's a bit challenging model. So if you will be building this kit, be ready for some challenges here and there. And as you can see, it is really detailed. Even without interior, you get a lot of external pieces and they look really nice. And some of them really require the installation with tweezers, so be ready for that, because otherwise you won't be able to install all this tiny stuff on the turret, for example. And there are a lot of other PE parts which will be installed here and there. But that's not what I would like to show as a conclusion, because, I mean, model is built, okay, you can check the photos, there will be link in the video description, you saw several planes of the model, but what I would like to show is that we have here the model 37064, and this is a kit without interior, right? So that's what is left after building the kit. So all these frames are extra parts, and basically they will go into your spare parts box. We even have some PE parts left, and that's not because I'm lazy, that's because they're not used in this particular version. So keep it in mind. And maybe in some spots these parts will be useful, who knows, but you can see how many spare parts will have to be stored or left away once you have finished your model. So as I was saying before, do not be afraid of the huge parts count on the Miniart kits without interior, because basically you get a lot of extra pieces which will be used here and there, and they can be stored in your spare parts box. What I was afraid about is the attachment of the turret. As I remember, I was saying that maybe you have to erase or cut off the side tabs, but as you can see, it is movable, it is fixed in place, so it's quite handy feature for transporting this model, and it still stays in place, so it doesn't go away. And that's pretty much all. I hope you enjoyed our build. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about this build here in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!